Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to another premiere draft of Foundations, the newest set to Magic Arena. So without further ado, let's get into our pack one pick one here. We have two really sweet rares. Day of Judgment, obviously a full-on board wipe that's going to play really well in any more controlling or mid-rangey deck, but I found white to play super well with aggro decks in this format, so I don't really want to start trying to play something more controlling or slower in white. And as for the black rare, we have Abyssal Harvester. So a 3 mana 3/2, not the greatest stat line, but you can tap it and exile a creature card from a graveyard that was put there this turn, and you create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a nightmare in addition to its other types. So a creature card from a graveyard that was put there this turn means any creature that has traded off and died on board, any creature you've milled, any creature you've discarded, anywhere the creature ended up in the graveyard, as long as it went there this turn, you can reanimate with this thing. So I think Abyssal Harvester seems like a really fun, potentially super powerful build around. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that here. For pick two, continuing down the black path, we have the Tragic Banshee. 5 mana, 5/3, give something -1/-1 till end of turn is just okay. But if you can get the Morbid trigger, this card's really good. -13, -13. There's also the Fiendish Panda. We could try to head right into black-white, because I think it's going to be a really strong archetype in this format. There's some consistent life gain in the set. So this is a big Johnny's Pride Mate. It's going to just keep getting bigger every time you gain life. And when it dies, you get to return another creature with lesser power from your grave right to the battlefield. This card seems like a really, really absurd rate and a pretty huge reason to try to go into Orzhov. So I think I will go ahead and take that over the Tragic Banshee here. Pick number three. This pack is considerably weaker. We can go ahead and go for this Evolving Wilds, which we can use for fixing no matter what we end up doing, or we can go for like the Big Fin Bouncer is a pretty nice common. The Indrik could be a 2-for-1, hits the board, trades into something, well, fights something off and sticks around. Grappling Kraken's like a big scary finisher for blue decks. A lot of solid cards here. I don't think Authority's that solid. Kind of not worth playing. As a card that doesn't impact the board in terms of power and toughness or killing any creatures or anything like that. It's close. If you have a million life gain cards, it might be worth it. But there's a lot of creatures in the set that can consistently gain you a life every turn anyway, that are just going to be better. Like the 3 mana 2/3 flyer that gains life every time you play a creature. That thing's a common, and I feel like that's just going to play much better than this in the majority of decks. I'm just going to stay nice and open here with the Evolving Wilds. Pick four, Cathar Commando's fine. Grow from the Ashes, I guess, could be fine ramp, or we can just take another Evolving Wilds. Tolarian Terror can be really good in a spell-heavy deck, or a deck that mills itself a lot, which might be where we want to be with Abyssal Harvester. Tolarian Terror towards blue-black self-mill could be a really fun spot for the Harvester. Yeah, I'll stay a little open here. Check out that backup strategy. Pick five. Again, the white cards aren't great. Actually, Inspiring Paladin's kind of nasty. But there's also Llanowar here, which is fantastic ramp. Refute towards the blue-black deck. That gives us a way to discard a creature for Abyssal Harvester. Counterspell, draw a card, discard a card, use Abyssal Harvester. Or if we can grab some Zombifies, draft some Zombifies, that could be really fun too. There's the Revenge the Rats for if you're self-milling a ton and you have a high creature count. That's a good finisher. I think Inspiring Paladin is actually a really strong common, and it works really well with Fiendish Panda, though, so I'll take that here. Pick six. Okay, well, now I'm speculating on Refute because I think everything else in here is a little medium. Kind of wish I just took the last Refute now. Oh my god, do I wish I took the last Refute. So blue-black's open. So that's probably the direction we go in here. And honestly, we could splash in Fiendish Panda. I feel like it's strong enough to splash. Even just as a 3/2 that dies and brings back a 2/2 from your grave or something. That's already a decent stat line without the life gain stuff. God, there's a stab here too? Ooh. This is a good draft pod to be in black. But Dreadwing Scavenger combos with the Abyssal Harvester really well. Yeah, let's just go Dimir. Blue-black Threshold. Here we are. Light Shell Duo is going to be great in that archetype. Self-milling. being a huge blocker, but the Icewind Elemental is also good. Draw a card, discard a card. I think I'd go for the little bit cheaper card here. And it mills a little more as well. Pick 9. Yep, I think this is the color pair to be in. Cob Waltz is fun. Discard 1 card to pick up 2 other creatures, but Brineborn Cutthroat's really good with counterspells and just playing a bunch of instant speed stuff. If we want to go really controlling, that could play well. We've already got the 1 Refute, and blue and black seem quite open, so we try to get a bunch of them. I'll go for the Cutthroat and see how it works out. Pick 10. I'm actually going to take Backwater over Elemental here. I feel like Backwater is a really important pick, especially helping getting the Fiendish Panda in. Obviously, this doesn't add white mana, but it allows us to run this over an island and a swamp. So we can have, let's say you have no non-basics in your deck, you have like 10 islands and 7 swamps, so you have 10 blue sources and 7 black sources. Well, now since we have a Dismal Backwater, we can have 10 blue sources and 7 black sources off of just 16 lands instead of 17 lands, which opens up a slot for that 17th land to be a white source for Fiendish Panda. I don't know if that made the most sense, but that's a way to try to explain it. Self-Reflection is probably nice when we're milling ourselves. It's probably the only deck that cares about this card. Wow. Pick 13 Refute. I think blue is a good spot to be. But yeah, blue-black is actually seemingly a pretty good spot for Self-Reflection, because there's a lot of cards to discard it to, like the Dreadwing Scavenger and the Double Refute, as well as the Self-Mill of Surveil cards and some other stuff. Blue-black is certainly going to be a bit controlling, so Blasphemous Edict should be pretty great. Can absolutely use a board wipe in this archetype. Sphinx of Forgotten Lore now. We can flashback instants and sorceries from our graveyard. And we can flash this in as well. So we flash this in during their end step. Untap, attack, recast, removal spell. That seems incredible. Great mythic to get past. And again, it's part of the benefit of being in an open color. Sometimes you can get past mythics. Pick 3 looks pretty weak. Really don't want creatures that can't block in this archetype, so I think we're on Icewind Elemental. So just taking a common, pick 3, a little early for that, but I don't think we're splashing towards Techyova. Pick 4. Well, if we can't find the hard removal, Uncharted Voyage can buy us some time, and Surveiling is good in this archetype. I mean, if we wheel like every copy of Refute, then Uncharted Voyage can turn into a full-on removal spell because we cast the Refute after we force them to redraw their card. There's a stab. Join the party. Instant speed removal, works great with a Brineborn Cutthroat, works great in general. Super good with Sphinx of Forgotten Lore too. It's a really cheap card to flashback. Deck's looking good and spicy. Pick 6, there's a Think Twice. That's really good with Brineborn Cutthroat. It's also Imprison in the Moon. Could use some sorcery speed removal. You never want to play this early, because giving your opponent extra mana out of your removal spell is quite bad, but if it's later in the game, where you and your opponent only have like 1 card left in their hand anyway, then this actually becomes a really good removal spell. It's just something you never want to play like turn 3 or turn 4. I don't know, I think Think Twice is cute enough here to go for that over the somewhat situational removal. Grab a Bouncer. There's an Ink Mage, that's a bunch of self-mill. Surveil 3. Obviously unblockable when we have Threshold. Another Brineborn Cutthroat. Looks like a really good Cutthroat deck. Stab, Think Twice, Double Refute, Uncharted Voyage. Plus our Sphinx of Forgotten Lore is also instant speed. And Think Twice, we can trigger this twice with it. Alright, Witness Protection. Pretty comparable to the Imprison in the Moon. It's going to be really bad unless we play a really late game, but then it's okay. I guess we've got a lot of draw a card, discard a card. We could go for the Erudite Wizard. Seems pretty mediocre, though. As does the Gleaming Barrier, but maybe we need the shields up enough to go for that. Alright, pack 3, let's improve this deck. We kind of already have a full one, but Can make it really good here. Pack 3, pick 1. Is blue open enough to wheel Archmage of Runes or Mischievous Mystic? These are both insane cards, though. Draw a card every time you cast an instant or sorcery. Create a 1/1 flyer every time you draw your second card. And we have Dreadwing Scavenger that can trigger this every single turn. We have Think Twice that can trigger this multiple times. We have Draw a card, discard a card off the 5-mana flyer as well. My god, this pack. Why'd they all have to be in the same pack? All 3 of these are so awesome here. Oh my god. I think I'm going to take Hero's Downfall and pray one of these 2 comes back. Because blue seemed pretty open to where hopefully there's just like one person trying to actually do that kind of stuff like we're doing here. Another Refute, an Eaten Alive, or an Inspiration from Beyond. All seem good for the deck. Eaten Alive seems a little awkward here. We're not going to have super expendable cards to sacrifice. Let's go Refute. Let's just go maximum Cutthroat here, maximum instance. This pack's pretty bad. Another Uncharted Voyage, I guess. Abyssal Harvester ended up kind of sucking. We're kind of close to mono blue at this point, at least with the creatures for sure. Pick 4. Again, not the most expendable stuff for Eaten Alive. Another Ink Mage. Yeah, let's really fill that grave. Ooh, speaking of really filling that grave, when we have Threshold, this thing's insane. Kiora attacks as a 3/2 and spits out an 8/8 when you have Threshold. So get Threshold, attack with Kiora, win. That's the plan. God, there's still a stab here, pick 5. I'm not taking that over Kiora. I already took a Hero's Downfall over Cool Rares. I'm taking the Cool Rare this time. Come on in, Kiora. Ooh, another Cool Rare? It's good for sack decks. You can sack it like 9 times. But it actually just seems weaker than like a Light Shell Duo or the Sky Mage here. Sky Mage potentially gets really, really big, but obviously doesn't like give you any value just hitting the board. At least Light Shell Duo just gives you insta value. I feel like, I don't know, Light Shell Duo is kind of sick here. Because now we really need Threshold. Because Kiora is such an insane Threshold finisher. So another Surveil 2 just off ETB is pretty large. No, there were 2 other drafters exactly. They took the blue rare and the blue uncommon. Alright. That was probably the one big mispick of the draft, because we're so close to mono blue here. Maybe we could even have gone like complete mono blue. Just taking one of those good blue rares. And that could have been pretty fun and pretty good. Okay, Inspiration from Beyond looks good for this deck. Looks really bad for most, but we care so much about filling that graveyard that it's kind of cool here. I don't think we play this. We're interested in more ways to put things in grave than more ways to be good once we have them in grave. Because again, the Kiora, the double Ink Mage, the Scavenger, those are already really good reasons to have full Threshold. I don't think we're doing the splash anymore. We lower some of the higher stuff on the curve. Hopefully we have the self-mill to make these Delirium Tears super cheap, especially if we run almost all like non-creatures here. Or as high of a non-creature count as possible. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's still a lot of creatures for this archetype. 15. Guess this is the most mediocre one left. I mean, it can get really big over time, but everybody else has just like immediate impact. 4 more cuts. I want to cut any instance if I can avoid it. Yeah, Self-Reflection's still so cute with the amount of surveil and draw a card, discard a card that we have. There's a lot of things that are really cute more than anything. But I really want to see how they play out. But think twice. So I still have Downfall, Stab, Quadruple Refute, Double Voyage. Yeah, I can drop Witness Protection. Maybe I drop Abyssal Harvester. No, this can get opponent's creatures too. Even if I counter it. If they cast a big creature and I counter it, it went to their graveyard this turn, then I can Abyssal Harvester it. Yeah, no, I'm going to keep that. We have too many 4-drops. But I really like the bouncers and the duos, and obviously I'm never cutting the Mythic. But the duos are so good for the surveil milling, and the bouncers are really good for slowing our opponent down. I guess we're not really aggro, so we don't get the benefit of like bounce that back, swing in, get blockers out of the way, but they're still good for slowing our opponent down and dying less quickly. I gotta cut something here, and I think we want to focus up on more creature cuts. Maybe I can cut a land too. Can this deck cut a land? Can't mean the curve stops at 4. It's got a lot of draw and discard to help find what it needs. Yeah, I think I want to try this inspiration thing badly enough to drop a land for it. Boop that. It's so awkward. All of our, not all of them, but most of our black cards are double black. Might justify an even split instead of a 9-7. I'm just going to still go 9-7 though. All right, really cool deck. Super excited to see how it does. So without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay. All right, here we are on the place, sitting on our butts doing nothing. As you do, as is the plan. All according to Keikaku. Our opponent's on 2 mulligans, so we're already winning. Clearly, best player. Best deck. Uh-oh. Mountains. That's concerning. They might cast something before I refute. Okay, definitely hold up refute before I hold up downfall. Blue, red. Yeah, refute to ditch some of these lands is gonna be nice. See, obviously this is a 16 land deck. There's no way we want any more lands. That's a really good refute target because now they had to just discard 2 cards for nothing. The Thrill of Possibility and the additional card to cast it. Well, sure. Play this, and then I've got Uncharted Voyage. If they resolve any threats. Don't burst him. No! Goodbye. Just mill 3 and have an unblockable Ink Mage. Ooh. I lied. Tolarian Terror is a sick draw. If your opponent has no creatures on board, you're already unblockable. So I'm keeping the Terror. They're just going to think twice. Yep. Big Serpent. There's their own Tolarian Terror. Yep. Now we're unblockable. There's the concession from our opponent. Obviously, this deck is incredible. Never doubted it for a second. We're just going to do that every game the whole time. All we need is our opponents to mulligan twice. All right, here we are for game number 2. We're on the draw here. We can get that Cutthroat down early, so every instant we cast becomes incredible. I'm into the hand. Obviously needs to draw some mana, but Kiora for the draw 2, discard 2 helps that a lot. That's part of the really nice thing about the Kiora, is that even if you don't draw her in the late game where you ideally make the 8/8, just playing her turn 3 for the draw 2, discard 2 can help you out. Help you find what you need, give you good card selection. Like here, draw 2, discard 2 is going to be really valuable. Filling the grave with instants and sorceries for our 2 Tolarian Terrors now. And trying to draw into more mana. Playing against Boros here, which is terrifying. And we could definitely lose if we just miss our land drops against Boros. At least they don't really have spells here. Definitely holding up the Refute. But they could flash in like a Cathar Commando here. So you don't mind just trading into that. If they do. Okay, that I do mind. Kind of forgot about that card. That's rough. I don't think I should have attacked then, because Goblin Surprise is pretty bad for me. Them Burst Lightning Cutthroat is really good for me. Yeah, that is super, super fine. It's already not blocking well at all. Okay. Well, goodbye, Kiora. We need lands real bad, so you are going to get demolished by something. We still don't hit lands? What is this? 2 instants into the grave for our Tolarian Terrors. Now these are castable even if we don't draw land. Which is looking likely based on past events. Okay, it's only indestructible for the turn, and right now we're just trying to survive till we hit Edict. At whatever cost. Alright, Edict is now 1 swamp away. We can Light Shell Duo towards the swamp, take the 5, block the Paladin. These aren't swamps. Just gonna Burst Lightning me for the last damage. Nope, but it doesn't matter. Wow, these draws were bad. I don't even think it matters if we manage to hit the land by now, because then they can just Burst Lightning me as a top deck later in the game. Oh, wow. Alright, well, not much we can do there. Those were historically bad draws, and we are 1-1 heading to game 3. Alright, here we are for game 3. Super nice keep as long as we can draw 1 land, but saw how things were working out last game. Can never rely on it, but we hit the land immediately this time. Super nice. That fits into the curve perfectly. Cutthroat into Refute there, Cutthroat into Sphinx. I think I ditched the Voyage, because I'm going to play Sphinx next turn, and then if I need to Voyage, I can recast it off the Sphinx. Empyrean Eagle. Well, won the booty too big for the Cutthroat. I'm not going to try to Sphinx the Eagle here, because then if they have a combat trick, that's horrible. Counterspell it is. Oh, Essence Scatters in this format? Okay, at least it's an uncommon. That's pretty gross. Yeah, you got the trade. That is a fine trade. I'm out of instants. This is how this run's gonna be. Draw and discard and surveil all over the place, praying for mana and never finding it last game, and then now, here it is. I'll do what I can here, but this is not looking like a winner. Well, honestly not even that great of a draw. 7 in the sky. Might have to just cast it here and just pray those cards are not creatures. It's the safer play. If they have a refute, I lose either way. If these cards are creatures, holding this is better. If they're not, casting it right now is better. And there's always the possibility that they are creatures, but our opponent already knows they just kill us in the sky in 2 turns, so they just don't play them. And then I get got either way. I think it's more likely we should just Edict now than we shouldn't. Because again, there's also the possibility that their hand does have creatures, but then they just don't play them because they're already good. Wow, if I didn't Edict, we would be dead. That's 9 damage. They had 7 flying power, now it's 9. So, I mean, made the right play. But it's all gas. And all breaks over here. 1 and 2, heading into game number 4. Here we are for game 4. We are 1 and 2 right now. The run's been a little tragic. Some mana screw into mana flood. Not a lot we could do. I still think this deck's really cool, so I am really crossing my fingers. We get a little bit more of a game here. Even if it is a loss, at least have a bit of a back and forth on this one. Some decision points that actually matter. Oh, this is awkward. Again, when we hit that 3rd mana, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of draw a card, discard a card to dig really far for whatever we need. Okay, well, stab on that's not the best, because we don't get the cutthroat counter, but when we're this choked on mana, I think we need to use it as efficiently as we can. Good draw. Good draw. Nice roadblock from the Light Shell duo. Land refute. Actually mill these. I have my strongest threshold card in my hand. I think I actually just mill these. We've got the Kiora for the 8/8. Ink Mage is good mill, potentially. Fiery Annihilation. Alright, that's fine. It already got its really good Enter the Battlefield effect going, and that is one less removal spell they can have for the Kiora or the Dreadwing Scavenger. So here's a Light Shell Duo. And again, just work to Threshold, especially because we don't have double black for the Harvester in the first place. I think they might have misread Aetherize. Yeah, they thought it was return all opponents' creatures to their owner's hand. Yeah, just a new to the format thing there. If I cast Uncharted Voyage or Refute this turn, I have full Threshold. So I'm going to go for one of these two. Holding up interaction here instead of just jamming out the Ink Mage. I really don't need to counter that, though. I guess I just end step Voyage the Archer. Gets a counter on Cutthroat if nothing else. And fills the threshold. Burst Lightning the Cutthroat, sure. They're down to 3 cards. We've got a bunch here. Actually do like that draw. Okay. So now I can Scavenger. The reason I like the land is we can try to get to 6 mana so I can Kiora with a Refute backup. There you go. Discard our flashback spell. Alright, so Scavenger draws 1 removal spell from our opponent, and we have the Refute for the next removal spell, and if Kiora remains on board, Kiora wins the game. I'll keep that on top. Land Ink Mage. I think Scavenger's better than Ink Mage. I'm starting to get low enough in Library. We're halfway through our deck here that maybe I should get a little bit concerned about casting a creature that mills one every single turn. Draw a card, discard a card. But I think it's still worth it. Balmore's fine. I'm not going to try to downfall Balmore in the end step, because then I'm tapped out of the Refute. And they could try to bluff into the Refute here. So now I can downfall Balmore and still have the Refute. We're just locked into getting the 8/8 here by playing it this way. Woo! Scion of the Deep has arrived. Look at that thing. Goblin Surprise. Go for the double block and try to keep Kiora. One mana Tolarian Terrors for the rest of this game. Micromancer. That can find a Burst Lightning and kill Kiora. Oh, they don't have one left. I lied. I could have played the land on Uncharted Voyage, but that hits for 11. It's not lethal anyway. And I'm not attacking with Kiora here because the Scion is legendary. Oh, alright. That's a funny way to end it. They bulk up our Scion for the full 16 damage. Accept defeat on their own terms. We are 2-2 now. One win away from getting at least a 50-50 run here. See how it goes. All these two landers that desperately need to top deck land 3. I should probably just cut self-reflection for land 17 at this point. How the games have played out. Ooh, it might not matter. Maybe we'll just get Boros instantly, no matter what we do. Ooh, we're getting Rakdos. That's exciting. It's a little more unique. Oh my god, we are really getting Rakdos, though. Yikes. Yeah, if I don't hit the land, we just lose to aggro. It is what it is. Is what it is. Playing Cura might get them to sack both the Firebrands to kill her. But then, of course, they could have just removal in hand anyway. Just removal Cura. Let's go. That is the best case scenario for us here. We just want to stop their aggro and then jam out big threats they can't deal with. Okay, we're still in it. Okay, they did have a hard removal spell. We'll bake that into a pie. What is this? This is a full playset of Firebrand deck? Jesus. Slow down. Please. It's possible that I can hit one instant or sorcery off this Ink Mage. If I do, we're good. There we go. We hit one. I think I'm fine to draw another Refute. One card left in their hand. Board looks stable and we have a Refute. Although I don't think I'm doing it right now. Actually, Self-Reflection is goated. Oh. 2 5/5s to block all the 1/1s. I should have just attacked with a 5/5. A 5/5 and a 2/2 is already blocking all the 1/1s and we just hit harder that way. I guess if I attack with a 5/5 though, I'm giving them 1/1 flyers, which is bad for me. With 3 Tolarian Terrors, I might be able to outrace a couple 1/1 flyers, but I can't cast a Tolarian Terror and still hold up Refute, so we're gonna Refute Liliana. I'm good on that. I don't need to see her. I'm sorry, Tolarian Terror, but Sphinx is so much cooler. Our opponent's over it. They've got all 1/1s. We have multiple cards in hand and an Inspiration from Beyond to pick something else up. We actually get there against the aggro because all of their aggro creatures were just 1/1s somehow. We take those at least 50-50 now. We are 3-2 heading into game 6. Omelet needs a new swamp. Oh my god. Is this every double black card in our deck? I think this is literally every double black card in our deck. Don't do this to me, Arena. Please. Do you know how much I've sacrificed? That was yesterday, though. Our Rakdos sacrifice deck. Okay, I have to tap out for Ink Mage here, so I'm just going to kill this before they can draw the card off of it. Because I'm not going to be able to hold up stab this turn. We need to dig for black sources and mill literally anything else. There it is. All right, well that's really good. A 5/2 and they get their play for next turn. Their play for next turn is a land. Okay, I'm not going to play a creature into my own board wipe, so I'm just going to hold up Hero's Downfall here. We might have to do it if they kill Ink Mage, but if they don't kill Ink Mage, obviously 2/2 on the 5/2. Madness! 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. -2, I take 8 if I don't Hero's Downfall right now. Take 8 and then Edict. That is not good. I have not played a land for turn. Try to Kiora into land for turn. Hero's Downfall Think Twice is just so much more consistent though. But I guess by Think Twicing I could hit the land. If I do it right now instead of end step. Alright, we didn't. Oh no! That spits out a whole board by itself. Oh, I'm so dead. And there's a 3/2 to block a 5/3. Terror costs 2 now. Can make Terror cost 1, but there's no reason to. Discard the worst blocker. They have all spells in their hand, by the way, or they would have played a land alongside Giant last turn. I get an 8/8 blocker. It's obviously a monumentally huge deal. I think I kind of have to hold Refute up. Because I can cast Cutthroat and have another blocker here while still holding up Refute, it's actually really reasonable. But I think even if I didn't have Cutthroat, I might have to just hold Refute up here when we know their hand's all spells. Yeah, this Cutthroat draw is just really good with the Refute. That's 2 Planeswalkers in a row we've countered. Liliana and Chandra. Gross. There's the Refute. We know they're on all spells. If I Refute whatever they do, I can just block 1/1/1 and be fine. Could even theoretically attack with the whole board, but attacking with 2 already leads into a 2-turn lethal. There's the concession. Whew. Games are so stressful, but the Threshold control build is starting to turn things around now at 4-2. I guess it's fully turned things around now. We started 1-2, now we're 4-2. We took what could have been a really bad run, and we're at least breaking even on prize out, and we've got a positive win rate with this deck. Super awesome turnaround here, super awesome spot to be. But we'll see how far we can take it heading into game number 7 now. I keep saying it, I'm going to keep forgetting to do it. At least we're on the draw here, that helps a lot. We have 3 draw steps to hit 1 land. And if we do, we are golden. But I really should cut the self-reflection for land 17. I guess it was really cool 2 games ago. We did use it on a Tolarian Terror. But I just don't think it's necessary for this deck, and hitting those land drops is incredibly important. Land number 3 is the real turning point. Because land number 3 gives us access to our infinite cards that let us draw a card and discard a card. Is it wrong to just hold up Refute here? Probably. Yeah, I can still stab an early play. Sure. They're playing a black deck, so I don't really want to play my best creatures right now, like Scavenger or Harvester. But I still think it's a little early to just hold up Refute when the only other instant is Stab in hand. Guess I could have kept Cutthroat on top, and then holding up Refute is a lot less greedy. Show me another removal spell, and then I'll start casting good creatures. Sure. Hold up Refute and cast a Hero's Downfall if I don't next turn. Okay. 2 removal spells out of the way. Two damage a turn. Maybe worth stabbing a 2/2. Pilfer! Them's fighting words. I think Dreadwing Scavenger's the card I care about the most here. They might hit Refute, though, if they're trying to resolve a bomb. Okay. Good to keep the Scavenger. I'm just going to turn the 2/2 into a 1/1 at this point. You know what? I'm kind of dumb. If I kept the land underneath the Refute, then I could play Scavenger, draw the land, play the land next turn. So I can hold up Refute and still play the flyer. Which is obviously a very good turn. Could gamble on it, but I can take 1 damage a turn. Got 12 turns to another land. I have 13 turns. But that is the other land, so I can cast Scavenger, hold up Refute next turn. Beastkin Ranger. Hello there. Feels like a really nice position here. Double Counterspell and a Tolarian Terror for a second bomb level threat. keep digging through my deck too. Hey, self-reflection. I knew it was worth running. No 17th land necessary. It's a great mill. Opponent's gonna be so tired of my nonsense. Oh my god. Uncharted Voyage Surveil. Oh, another Uncharted Voyage in response to Endrick. Horns of the Cycle. No mana up for the thing. Yeah. Refute that. Guess I'm just on all refutes. Really am. $12 cards left. There's the concession from our opponent. That was like nails on a chalkboard for our opponent, I'm sure. Just beating their head into a boulder. That was just hard, full control. 5-2. We have rallied a 1-2 run all the way up into the money. We're leaving the event with more gems than we paid in to enter. This deck has been sweet when we hit mana, so it should be running 17 or 18 lands. But I don't edit my deck between rounds because I literally always forget until I click the play button. We did. One of our losses was Mana Flood, I guess, so preventing that a little bit. This thing goes absolutely insane if it sticks around, so I'm just killing that immediately. Oh, Scrawling Crawler's kind of rude against our deck. Now I don't want to cure it because I'm shooting myself for 2 extra damage. Yeah, all of our draw a card, discard a card is like really bad against that. Wow, I need blue sources. Trying to hit 5 mana for Blasphemous Edict, but needing blue this bad means I think I keep a swamp, but I don't think I keep both here because blue is so important. This way we know at least we're guaranteed to Uncharted Voyage, but also we're a little closer to the next island. Slumbering Cerberus. Light Shell Duo. Alright. That works fine here. Towards blue mana. These is not blue mana. Oh, they're such cool cards. That is a tragic Surveil, but there's no shot we can keep those. I can't even cast the Sphinx. Incinerating Blast, sure. Kill Cerberus. Draw. Okay, we have the Edict. They have 4 cards in hand. I kind of don't have another option. Maybe I should have killed Crawler. Because then we could maybe play Cura here. No, because then I'd still have to Edict pretty soon afterwards. And then I would just be Edicting away my 8/8 anyway. Yeah, I'll just do it. 2/2. That's it for now. Alright, Kura's definitely gonna die. That's good card selection, and discarding a Think Twice is great. Hold Up Refutes and Terror. Goodbye, Kura. Oh. I don't even think I need to full control here for this, but I'm just gonna do this while they're tapped out. Alright. As expected, but they're down to 2 cards in hand now, and Tolarian Terror is enough to win the game. Especially with Self-Reflection. Earn your spot in the deck, Self-Reflection. You better be good here. That is a flyer. That's dangerous. Look at it earning its spot. Get that discard synergy. I can't afford to hold up Refute alongside that right now. Have to go Ink Mage, hold up Refute. Yeah, you can hit me for 2. That way they can't like top deck Chandra or something. Also still pretty bad. Alright, they died pretty quick. They have to chump on board. They're on top decks, and they find them out, and they have to chump. That's lethal, I think. Yeah, we have a multitude of spells we can pick up to lethal them here. Just pick up Stab. 10 damage. 6 and 2. 1-2 into 6-2. Let's go. Alright, I'm real excited about this deck. It's headed all the way from 2 losses early on into the final boss at 6-2. See if we can't get our final win or our final loss here. I'm going to take another look at the deck, because obviously turning a 1-2 into a trophy run would be insane. So if there's something we can swap out for a land here real quick and get the 17th in, because that 3rd mana is so important, let's make sure to do so. Maybe Quadruple Refute's a bit much. Inspiration has rarely mattered too much, but it is good to discard, and we have done a lot of discarding and surveilling. Honestly, Abyssal Harvester has not done anything ever. And it costs double black, which is difficult. Maybe the wrong cut, but I'm just going to cut Harvester for 1 more swamp, and we're going to head in there for the final boss. All right, here we are on the play for the final battle with a real sweet looking hand. Jump Scare Dragon has arrived. Right over my shoulder. Get off me. It's a lot of lands, but part of what makes this deck really nice is the massive amounts of draw and discard. Get rid of these. Okay. Let's go land 4 Light Shell Duo here. Witness Protection? Sure. Legitimate business person on the board. Our bounce thing works well here. Oh no, it's creature only. Dang. Well, the fact that we drew the bounce thing means we get to hold up Refute really easily and cast that if we don't refute. Light Shell Duo, I think, would still be a pretty good play here, just fueling Kiora quicker. But with double Refute in hand, I think this is fine. Yeah, Archdruid could make a lot of mana. Refute seems fine. How dumb am I? Pretty dumb. Hold up the instance. Okay. No longer do I want to counter creatures. Oh, that's a really awkward draw, because I also don't want to just Kiora into my own Edict, but if we can get this Edict killing multiple creatures, it will be a winning play. Do this. I do need land 5, but I don't need it particularly quickly. We want them to play creatures first. Outside of just the Horn Beetle. So we want them like spending mana to kill Kiora and then play another creature. And then we can Edict later. This has been a weird one already. There's been so many options of how to play this out. But there's definitely one that would have played out much better. With no information on what our opponent's curve is going to be. I don't know if there was like a guaranteed right one. But there's definitely plays that would have went better. Okay, well now we're chilling. Because the Horn Beetle can't attack into these 2/1/1s. And if they don't cast anything we need to refute, we can now Cutthroat before we refute. And start getting +1/+1 counters. We definitely don't need to refute that. We can trade a 1/1 into it. Yeah, I think Edict is the backup plan. Cutthroat is the plan. Make this thing massive. I think I can tap out of my counter spells and have shields down here. I guess them putting the Cutthroat back in my hand gave me a pretty good excuse to Edict this turn, but we would have given them the 1 draw at least off of that. Okay. They hit for 3, we hit for 3, they hit for 3, we hit for 3. We can win this, especially with that draw. Yeah, I probably should have just played into the Edict more, but this feels winning right now. I mean, the board state is obviously winning, and the refute prevents them from changing the board state. Draw 3 is quite big. We definitely need to stop that. Now they're completely playing off the top. Our board state kills them in just 3 turns. Ooh. Draws are sick. I think I actually just draw Inspiration from Beyond first, which means I'm going to mill the other one, but since I have to mill 3 anyway, let's keep the other card on top so I don't mill my whole deck as fast. Okay. I think if I just Inspiration a counterspell into hand, they just can't do anything. They just automatically lose now. Because they draw 1 card and I counter it, and then I kill them next turn. Unless they draw a literally uncounterable spell. This should be the 2-turn kill. I guess 3-turn, because I can't really tap out for Inspiration to try to double spell and prowess kill them, but there's the concession from our opponent. That was a really weird final battle. I don't think I played that out right, but I'm not sure exactly what the right lines were without perfect hindsight. Like, because we knew exactly when we watched this, like, we know exactly what they drew and what they cast, we can go back and reverse engineer the exact correct plays based on what was in their hand, but I'm really unsure about what are the correct plays without knowing what's in their hand at the time, but I think they certainly weren't the plays that we went with. There was like the one turn I wasn't kind of thinking about how things got recontextualized by the voyage, where like them voyaging back my best creature meant I could just like let them resolve their stuff and then edict. Because now I still have that one creature that matters to play later. I think that was like the worst play of the game, but even some earlier plays of like deciding when to hold up, to refute, when not to, was pretty nebulous. Really interesting game, really confusing one. Something you could certainly look back on and see a bunch of different lines, but we just drew really well. Our deck is just great. And so it's going to carry us to victory at 7-2. We went 1-2. We had to rally into 6 wins in a row to get the max prize out from this draft, and we did it. Feels really nice. This was a super cool deck. Biggest underperformer goes to the Abyssal Harvester, to the point where I did cut it here. It's just a cheap creature that's pretty easy to kill, and it has to find the right circumstance to actually pop off and kill your opponent. I think Kiora is basically an infinitely more consistent and better version of the Harvester in this deck, where we can cast the Kiora early to set up our draws with the draw 2, discard 2, and then just trade off and use Kiora to help survive, because we're such a good control deck with great finishers that like if we survive to the late game, we're going to win every time even without the Kiora. So Kiora's flexibility of being a really great early game play and a late game finisher makes her a lot better than the Harvester here, where it's really just the finisher, and even then it's less consistent than Kiora. It's really easy for us to get the threshold, a little less easy to specifically have a creature hit a graveyard and then tap this thing and get a thing back. So getting 8/8s out of Kiora was incredibly easy. So she was phenomenal. I already knew she was going to be good, but she might be the biggest overperformer, and Harvester for the biggest underperformer. Self-Reflection, I think, secretly wasn't the cut. Self-Reflection actually good in the deck because we can mill it really easily. We can draw and discard it super easily. I think the cut may genuinely be the Harvester. That might be the worst card for the deck. We saw that the duos being incredibly consistent towards fueling Threshold and fueling Tolarian Terrors. The Tolarian Terror is also a huge deal. Obviously, we need some boss monsters in here, and these were ones we could cast for super cheap. We didn't really ever get to use the Sphinx of Forgotten Lore because it did just kind of get killed every time, but I still think this card is very powerful. So I guess it's sort of an underperformer, but not to the point where I think it doesn't synergize with the deck or it's something that we should have cut, like I think the Abyssal Harvester was. The Ink Mages weren't incredible, but filling that graveyard still very important, still very nice. The Dreadwing Scavenger was fantastic. This is a great signpost uncommon, setting up your draws throughout the game. Quadruple Refute obviously played really well, especially together. Yeah, everything else in the deck went real great. Maybe Inspiration from Beyond was a little weaker, but it was still a nice card to discard or mill with the flashback ability. So really cool, really fun deck today. And it grabs us the full 7-win run for 2,200 gems and 6 bonus packs of Foundations. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for supporting this channel, as well as you for watching the videos. If you enjoyed this and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.